Hey, what's up, guys? MW2 finally released last week, and I've been spending a lot of time on this game. I've been trying to figure out the new weapon system, learning the new maps, what's the new movement meta, you name it. And I wanted to provide you a video discussing my overall thoughts on the game and kind of my first impressions, and specifically highlight some of the issues with the game that really need to be fixed, but also give credit where credit's due and discuss some of the things that I really enjoy. So, my first impressions on the game. Overall, I'm really enjoying it. I know some people are hating on it, but for me, I'm a Call of Duty fan, and I've really been enjoying it. The weapons feel really good. There's some newer quality of life features that are good additions, but there are some flaws with the game. I'm not denying any of that. And obviously, there's going to be some bugs and minor performance issues when the game releases. And unfortunately, that's just kind of common nowadays. But I imagine that most of these bugs and some FPS drops will get ironed out in the coming weeks. So I'm not going to be focusing on that too much because those are pretty minor. On the other hand, though, there are some more major issues that need to be fixed. And the first one I want to discuss is hardcore mode. MW2 actually released without having its staple hardcore mode, which for me, it doesn't make sense. It's basically been a part of the COD franchise almost since the beginning, and I don't really understand why they didn't include it, because it's not like they have to create a new map or design new weapons. It's literally just adjusting health points, damage, remove the map, things like that, and fairly easy to add for a day one launch. So I don't really understand why that wasn't included, but I did discover that this was an oversight by Activision, and they said that they'll be adding it with the release of Warzone 2, which is November 16th. So just about 2 weeks away. So it's going to get fixed, and I'm glad they recognize that it's an oversight. And to be honest, that's honestly a pretty big oversight. Not sure how you forget to not include hardcore mode, but they're going to fix it. So it's not a major issue. They've recognized it, and in 2 weeks we'll have hardcore mode in MW2. The other big issue with Modern Warfare 2 is the UI. It's probably one of the worst what we've had in recent years. With Modern Warfare 2019 and Warzone, the UI was fairly easy and honestly effective for managing loadouts, inviting friends. It worked really well. But with Modern Warfare 2, it feels like they were trying to improve upon it, make it more minimalistic, but in doing so, they made it more confusing. Trying to find your friends and invite them to your party is extremely frustrating, especially if you're on Steam, because it shows all of your friends, regardless if they own the game or not. And so, in my opinion, they should have limited this to only show the friends that own the game, just to kind of make it a little bit cleaner and easier to invite your buddies. Fortunately, though, Activision and Infinity Ward are listening. They said just recently that, hey, we're going to be planning a UI and UX overhaul in the future. So, not sure if that's 2023, later this year. We'll just have to wait and see. But as a player, I was really excited to see that, because it shows that the developers are listening to player feedback, which is always a big problem in the gaming community. So, really good, and happy that Activision and Infinity Ward are listening. We'll just have to see if the new system is better than what we currently have. The other change that they made is how you level up and unlock camos. So in previous CODs, it took a lot of time and grinding to get these camos unlocked, because they had a lot of ridiculous challenges. Some of them, were like, get 100 kills without attachments, or get 100 kills, 100 long-range kills. Just a lot of these things that took away from just naturally enjoying and playing the game, and got really old. And so what they've done now is they still have challenges, but they're a lot more easier to achieve. So getting double kills, maybe so many kills without dying, or shooting so many people in the back. Things like these are a lot more easy to achieve, and it's things that you just naturally do by playing. And so you don't have to sit off on the corner of the map and just, hope that you get just a couple kills so you can keep progressing the challenges. That gets really old, and if you try to unlock platinum and all those higher end mastery camos, that gets really old pretty fast. So for most players, right, they just want to have a gold camo or two, and I think for them, this is a really good change, because it makes it more easier and more fun to unlock these mastery camos. The other significant change they've added is how you unlock and level up weapons. And me personally, I'm not against it like most people are, but I definitely understand where they're coming from. And I think a lot of their first impressions are hindered by those UI issues that we talked about earlier on in the video. And I'll be honest, like, it was confusing for me when I first loaded up. You know, I didn't know, like, why is this gun locked? Why can't I use it? And eventually, like, I discovered the weapon tree, which shows, oh, weapon A unlocks weapon B, and this is how you get these things unlocked. And so I think when the new UI comes out, hopefully the system will make a little bit more sense. But the biggest issue with the system is that you actually have to grind almost every weapon. And thankfully it's not like 67 levels like Vanguard, but you still have about 20 levels you have to unlock. Now, some guns get unlocked at like level 12 or maybe 16, but if you want to get all the attachments, you do have to go up to level 20. But it can be really especially annoying if you're a player who's just like, hey, I just want this one sniper, or I know I want this SMG, that's it, I'm fine with these two guns. Unfortunately, you gotta grind and, you know, level out maybe 8 or 10 weapons. Maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you gotta level out quite a few weapons, and that's kind of, you know, unfortunate. But the one nice thing though is that after you get the first weapon unlocked of that platform, and again, I'll maybe dedicate a video later on of how to level up guns and understand the system, but when you unlock the first weapon, those attachments will carry over to the next weapon. So leveling it up isn't as painful, so maybe you have an attachment, right, or a foregrip. It makes it a little bit easier and not as painful. So that is the one nice positive thing with the system, but I understand it's not for everybody. So the other thing I'm really curious to see is how is this going to impact Warzone 2? You know, for players who maybe don't own MW2, is that going to be harder for them to level up? I don't know. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. The final significant change they've made for Modern Warfare 2 is the movement system. And I think we all saw this coming, right? And I'll say the new system, it's a little clunky, but it does become easier the more time you play. And I think I'm about 50 hours in, and it's way easier now when I first started, because when I first started, it was, you know, I was not doing so well. But now I'm starting to figure it out, and I'm getting a better feel for it. And the new advanced movement for this game, it doesn't involve slide canceling, because that's actually removed, right? But it actually involves jumping and swinging around corners. And if you've seen in some of these clips, and even in my beta video that I revealed a little while ago, you'll notice that I'm constantly jumping and swinging around corners. And, you know, it doesn't really bother me, but it's just kind of weird because one of the reasons they removed slide canceling was because it was an exploit, it was a dumb mechanic, right? But what's ironic is they just replaced a movement system that was, you know, stupid with another mechanic that's really no different. It's not really realistic, right, to be jumping around corners all the time, but it's Call of Duty, right? It is what it is. But that said, though, give it some time. I think the more time you play, you'll get used to it, and as time progresses, we'll figure out how to maneuver and outsmart our opponents. And that's a wrap, guys. Those are my first impressions on Modern Warfare 2. If you enjoyed the video, learned something new, please do me a huge favor by liking and subscribing. Thanks, guys. Catch you next time.